As promised, our NBA analyst, Jevohn Shepherd, here in a fantastic turtleneck. You know, Jevohn, they played the underdog card throughout the playoffs. Mike Malone talked about how nobody's talking about it. Everyone's talking about how the Lakers are struggling. And yet, in the end, the Denver Rich Creamy Nuggets pull off the sweep. What did they prove to you this series?
Well, they're just rewriting what winning basketball is. And I think they've done that all playoffs. It's chemistry, it's cohesion, it's toughness, it's grit, and it's built on trust. You mentioned Coach Mike Malone talking about his players, and we talked about Jamal Murray and him stepping up and making big shots. But the thing that's so impressive to me about Jokic is, you know, good players can put the ball in the hole and they can get their own. But great players, they make their teammates better. And when you look at the four other guys on the floor, when Jokic is on the floor, when Murray's on the floor, there's a confidence that permeates throughout this team. And I think, secondly, it's all those guys are stars within their own role, right? And when you have a group of guys that believe in that and trust in that, it does a lot. It moves the needle for your team. And just looking at how they play together and how they believe in each other, sometimes you just watch the body languages of these guys, and shots go up. Nobody's discouraged. Nobody's, shrugging their shoulders. Everybody's on an assignment, whether they're crashing the rebounds or they're getting back, in defensive transition. And I think that means a lot. Sometimes that's more than 2 points. That's more than an 8-0 scoring run. We're playing together, and we trust the guys in this locker room. And Mike Malone has stepped up in the media time and time again and really put those guys on his back and defended them.
And, I love watching these games and then following Twitter at the same time, and like NBA legends talking about Nikola Jokic, like this guy sees the game in a different way than so many other players do. And he was a two-time MVP, and this year he did not get the MVP. Joel Embiid got the MVP. Embiid, terrific player. But as Jokic has moved on in these playoffs and Embiid has flamed out yet again, has Jokic proved once and for all he is the best big man on the planet?
Whoa. Okay, best big man? I mean, it's going to be 1A, 1B, and whether it be Embiid or Jokic, it just depends on what day you ask the question. You ask me today, Jokic is still playing, right? So he gets a nod today. But I think one thing's for certain, he's the most fundamentally sound player that we have in the game. If you look at him, his body type, no, he's not the most athletic. You remember he's a late second-round pick. He probably had a lot of scouts and a lot of evaluators lose their job for missing out on him. But just his shot fakes, he just keeps the game simple. When a double team comes, I'm going to pass the basketball. If you don't step up to me, I'm going to shoot the basketball. And then his footwork, just pump fakes, getting the defense to bite, and just making smart decisions out of it. It sounds easier than it is, but he's simplified the game. And I think, you just look at him, and again, I mentioned him just making his teammates better. And that's the impressive thing about him. He's going to put the ball in the hole. He's a big man. He's going to rebound. Jay, I laugh sometimes because when he gets on the offensive boards, he doesn't get over, he's not jumping over anybody.
No.
But he's getting his lower extremity into the defense, bumping them off their position there and grabbing rebounds. So I think he does a number of things on the court. You asked me that question today. Yes, he's the best big man today.
LeBron James, maybe the best ever. Depends on when you grew up, probably. How impressed are you, though, with this guy scoring the most points he's ever scored in a playoff game in the first half, and he does it in year 20 in the league at age 38?
I can't say enough, right? Because he's a guy that I've played against when I was, 20 years ago. And for it to be 20 years in the league, and even when his battery is at 80%, he's still better than 90% of the league at his age and 20 years in this thing. But again, he's a guy that really takes care of his body. You can see it. And for the Lakers, you've got to be excited right now because everybody was overly critical of them this year, but you still see that you have a solid foundation in this group with LeBron in the mix, with AD, and just to get some pieces around them that can be a bit more consistent. But LeBron still has a lot left in the tank, and I think that's what's so impressive about him. You look at his size, for him to be doing it as long as he has, and his game is transitioning, right? He's getting to a lot more of that mid-post game. He's reading the game more, even at this point in the game. The game has gotten a lot younger, and he's still making the right decisions. It's unfortunate how this night ended for him and the fact that the Lakers got swept, but just to see him become, his game change, slowing down, using the three ball, getting to the mid-post. There's a lot for these young guys to learn from him.
And then we got to finish on Jamal Murray, Canadian.
Yeah.
Going to the finals just over 2 years after tearing his ACL. We heard Mike Malone, his coach, talk about it, how proud he is of him. It's just an amazing thing to see. And it seems as the playoffs have gone on, he's just getting better.
Some guys just win. Winners just win. They find ways to win. And even tonight, him stepping up and coming up with that big defensive play, getting the basketball from LeBron or just stopping LeBron from getting up into his layup there. But I think back to 2015 when Jamal Murray was an 18-year-old playing on the national team at the Pan Am Games here in Toronto. And he completely took over a game against grown men at 18 against a USA team. And at that point, I said, that guy's a winner, right? It's not about skill. It's not about anything else. When the bright lights are on, some guys just turn it on. And we're seeing that, over the playoffs. And I look at his injury. And you and I were speaking before, and it's so impressive because we look at the physical side, and you see that he's come back healthy, 100%, putting the ball in the hole. But we don't speak on the mental side and what it takes to get back to this point and, how much mental endurance that takes, because when you have big injuries like that, you don't know if you're going to play this game again, let alone walk or run. So I'm excited for him. I'm happy for him. But just to see him happy, enthusiastic, enjoying this game again, and to see how Mike Malone speaks on him, it says a lot.
Can we get playoff Jamal against playoff Jimmy Butler? Excited thinking about it. Great chatting with you, my friend.
Likewise.
That was fun.